What's up? Y'all ready? Y'all know why she hyped? Because we about to do seafood. That's my joint. I'm from the Crystal Coast of North Carolina. My daddy from the Bayou. Guess what? Shrimp, salmon, crabs, mussels, clams, scallops, all of it. I want all of it. So the next couple of series that we're gonna do are gonna be seafood galore. So today we're gonna pop it off with some shrimp street tacos. Look at this. Look. I was walking through the grocery store not even looking for these tortillas at all. I was trying to get some food inspiration, like what can I do that would be quick but also have a little flavor to it, that also might be fun for you folks at home with your little people. First of all, everybody loves any kind of taco, and kids especially like the ability to like dress their own food and put their own toppings, and kids love condiments and all that stuff. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do street tacos with shrimp, and I'm gonna do a jerk shrimp marinade. We're also gonna have with that some cilantro lime rice, and I'm gonna fry some plantains. It's gonna be love. It's gonna be an avocado cilantro dressing to drizzle over that taco, and also I'm gonna do a purple cabbage and carrot slaw to top it off. Anyway, let's get started. Let's get started with the marinade. And because it is seafood, I'm gonna be pop locking and dancing a lot, especially when I eat it, because you always gotta do the fat kid dance when it gets good to you. So let's go ahead. Let's jump it off. So with our street shrimp tacos, I am starting with some large. These are 31 to 40 count size shrimp. They are peeled, deveined, and most of the time if you buy these fresh or even frozen, the deveining is in the back part of the shrimp. I also like to go and devein the underbelly, but I'm also pretty country and I just don't like seeing remnants of anything inside my shrimp before I cook it. So you want to clean these and then get off the excess water. So I like to pat them, put them in a bowl, then kind of pat with a paper towel to get all of the water out, because for this I'm making a marinade that has the typical jerk seasonings in there, but I'm also gonna apply the same dry seasonings to the shrimp so that there's a whole lot of flavor, because the slaw that I'm gonna top it with is pretty simple. So most of the flavor is gonna come from the shrimp, and then the slaw itself will offer kind of like a cool contrast to all of the heavy spices in the marinade and in the seasoning. So I'm gonna put that to the side. So what do I put in my jerk seasoning and marinade? I keep the jerk seasoning kind of on hand, but if you want to write down what goes in there, I'll list. I'm reading off of a card, so I'll list what goes in mine. And these are dry ingredients you probably already have in your pantry. And for the marinade, I use the exact same dry ingredients. I just added to about 2 tablespoons of canola or vegetable oil to make it a marinade. That's it. And maybe squeeze some fresh lime juice. But 1 tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of cayenne, 2 teaspoons of paprika. If you have smoked, that's awesome. If you don't, regular paprika is fine. A teaspoon of allspice, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, ground black pepper, a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a half a teaspoon of ground cumin, a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. It doesn't matter if it's dark or light, doesn't matter. 1 teaspoon of dried thyme and a tablespoon of dried parsley. So I keep those in a mason jar, and a little bit goes a very long way. So if you like Caribbean flavors, then I would say just keep it in a spice jar and have it in your spice cabinet. That way, first of all, it's cheaper than going to continuously buy like a Jamaican jerk seasoning in a bottle. And you probably have all this stuff anyway individually, so you can make your own. Alrighty, so you see these shrimp have been seasoned with jerk seasoning. And then my marinade, which is, we don't need a whole lot. After I put the shrimp in a new Ziploc bag, then I'm going to pour the marinade over it and let it sit in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. And then we'll get to the rice and the plantains. As you can see, these plantains are ready to go. When you buy them, most of the time they're going to be green. You got to wait for them, sometimes even yellow. You got to wait for them to start turning black for them to be good and ripe for us to cook. So I'm going to transfer our seasoned shrimp into a new bag out of the bowl. I still didn't get all that moisture out. That's fine. Now I'm going to pour our jerk marinade into the bag. I'm going to get a spoon because I want to use all of that. I don't want to leave any sauce left behind. I'm going to zip this up and spread it around. We're going to put it in the fridge and let it marinate for a couple of hours. And then come back and get started on prepping our slaw and our rice. All right. What's up, everybody? Now we are going to start the preparation for our slaw and our cilantro lime rice. I'm gonna give you the cheat code. Even when I am unless I'm just trying to be extra fancy for like holidays or special occasion, because of how busy I am, I use cheat codes. My cheat codes today include mixing like some fresh ingredients with some packaged ingredients. So instead of making my cilantro lime rice from scratch, I'm going to use some good old Zatarain's. Now it is easy to make cilantro lime rice. I mean, you can get some parboiled white rice and then add in some EVOO, fresh cilantro, salt and pepper, and some other seasonings if you want to. But just on a whim, one day I tried this when I think I made like a Mexican chicken bowl or something, and I was like, this is pretty daggone good, just as it is. And I think I had like some canned black beans to go with it on a day where I was just too tired to do anything special. So that's what I'm using today to accompany the shrimp tacos and the slaw and the plantains. So you need about you're just going to follow the instructions on the box, which tell us about a tablespoon of butter and 2 1/4 cups of water in a saucepan. And you're going to just pour in the rice mix with that. until it's blended. So you dump all these at the same time. If you've ever used, and I know I have used rice-a-roni stuff in the past, usually you let your water and butter or water and oil come to a boil first before you add the rice mix. For this, you just dump it in there all at once and kind of mix it up. And once it comes to a boil, then we are going to cover it, turn down the heat, and let it simmer for like 20 minutes. But while it's doing all that, we can get some other stuff out of the way. So I'm going to re-angle the camera so you see what I'm doing over here with this slaw. So this is the bowl I'm going to put the slaw in. And I'm going to start with peeling my carrots, because that is probably the most labor intensive part of making this fresh slaw. So I have a peeler. I want to get all of this off. And then we're going to shred this. You can also, if you don't have time for this or you don't have a peeler, guess what? The grocery store sells shredded carrots in packs. So you don't even have to do this if you don't want to. Talk about shortcuts. I was talking to someone not too long ago about missing the show Semi-Homemade with Sandra Lee. Mostly because she didn't have any gauge when it came to adding alcohol into any of her dishes or cocktails. She kind of just poured and poured and poured, which was always entertaining. But the truth of the matter is that people that are balancing work and family life just don't have a lot of time. So you have to do what's easier and practical for you. So I am going to try to mix in like easy short meals with also decadent from scratch fancy stuff for when you want to show off. So this is definitely a more practical type of deal. I'm going to get this skin, and then I'm going to get some of this mess out of the way. I think I've said over and over and over and over again, I like to clean as I go. I'm not a messy chef, to my credit, but I probably am slower because of that. So I have this little handheld shredder, so that's what I'm using. I like the Bell ones that are kind of like a tower, and I had one at one point, but I think maybe I left that in New Bern one time when I was maybe doing the fundraiser for my scholarship. But we're just going to shred both of these into our bowl. And then we're going to do a fine, thin chop of this purple cabbage. Okay, now that I have enough of my carrots shredded, I didn't use both carrots in this, but that seems like enough for the amount of slaw I want for me as one person living by myself. So now we're gonna get into cutting this cabbage. Y'all, I need some new knives, or I need to sharpen the ones I have. And I'm not gonna cut up this whole cabbage because I will use this in another meal. So I want kind of just enough to to go with the amount of carrots I have in there. So I feel like this is enough. We'll see once I add it to the bowl. But now that this is in these pretty big chunks, now I'm gonna thinly slice it. I've seen people use shears to do this. I don't have a lot of, I'm gonna move that out the way. I don't have a lot of quote unquote chef utensils in my kitchen, but I have enough to make do. So I'm gonna add this thinly sliced cabbage to this bowl. Again, these kind of big leafy pieces I don't want. I'm gonna move them to the side. And use the thin part. And because I will probably make something else with this cabbage, I'm not going to toss this out of the way. I'm just going to kind of put it to the side. And if you see the bowl, there's a good cabbage to carrot ratio, even though looking at it from this angle, the carrots are kind of at the bottom. But that's about how much I want. So I'm going to get this excess cabbage out of the way and put it up for storage for use later for something else. And then I will show you what flavors and seasonings I want to add to this slaw. And then we'll also go ahead and make that avocado lime dressing, so that both that dressing and the slaw can be chilling in the fridge while we get the rice done. And then the very last thing I'm going to do at the same time is get the fried plantains going, and then the shrimp, which are only going to take about maybe 3 to 4 minutes tops. So we'll be back shortly. Okay, so I'm back with one of my favorite co-stars, onion. So what's a street taco without diced onions? It doesn't exist. You can use red onion for this. I don't have any. So traditionally I think I see white onions and red onions, but I'm using the Vidalias that I keep on deck in my apartment. So these are just going to go over top of the slaw with that dressing and our shrimp. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I love onions, so if I know I'm going to be around people after I eat onions, I just have to build in an extra dental hygienic practice for that day. Our rice back there is at a good boil, so now is the time where I want to cover it and cut the heat down from medium, which is a 5 on my stove top. So I'm gonna cut it between a 2 and a 3 to simmer. And again, I think I told y'all my stuff cooks fast, so it says 25 minutes. I'm gonna say 20, and just check it. We want it to be nice and fluffy. So these onions are done. So now I'm gonna shift to the avocado, cilantro lime dressing, and this slaw situation. Okay, so I got my food processor because that's how we're gonna make the dressing. So I'm gonna start with one ripe avocado. I also eat a lot of avocado out here in America today. if you were doing this for like a family of, I don't know, 4, right, you definitely want to use more than 1 avocado. When I bought this avocado, it was pretty, the outside was pretty green. That's the thing, is like, you have to wait for them to get ripe and soft, but once they do, that window of opportunity before they start to go bad is very, very small. So to this, I'm gonna add some fresh cilantro. You can buy this way or the big giant bunches. I don't use enough to be buying the bunches. I don't need a lot of it. We'll use a little bit more to garnish the top of our tacos. But we're gonna blend this all up, so don't worry about how roughly you chop it. Then I want to add to this, get off my finger, about 1/4 of a cup of water. We'll see the consistency. I might want to add more water if it's thicker than I like. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. This is a 2 tablespoon measurement spoon, so I'm not going to fill that up. Then I want to add some garlic powder, just a dash. Some pepper, ground black pepper, and some salt. Not a lot. I always pour too much and have to end up like tossing it over my shoulder. And then we'll add some fresh lime juice up in here. Clean my hands. And I'm going to put this on this Ninja. This is the same thing I used to make the marinade when I did the lamb chops. I use this for a lot, for smoothies, for everything. That's a little thick. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Alright, that looks good. So now that that's done, I'm gonna set it to the side because we're gonna use it later. But we can move on to the slaw. And we got about 5 minutes left on that cilantro lime rice as well. All right, our rice is done. So I've cut that off. I'll show it to you in a second, but let's get the dressing done for apple slaw. So you can use rice wine vinegar for this, or apple cider vinegar. I'm not married to a lot of traditional flavors, so I'm always going to say use what is in your pantry, especially in a time where we're trying to limit unnecessary trips to the grocery store. And I'm also going to add about, I'm going to eyeball this, a tablespoon of canola oil. And then about a teaspoon and a half of sugar. And I'm going to stir this, but I want the sugar to dissolve into the oil and vinegar. And then I'm going to add in the slaw and season it with salt and pepper, and some of this cilantro again. Forgot I moved my cutting board. So let me bring it back and chop up more of the cilantro. The cool thing is it doesn't take the sugar long to dissolve at all. So you can even that's in there. So now we're gonna add our cabbage and carrots. Mixture. Ground black pepper, let me say fresh. And then a little kosher salt. You to see what that looks like. Oh, I lost a piece, that means I should eat it. That's good. So that's done. That's our slaw. So now we can get ready to prep our plantains, which are not going to take long to fry at all, and our shrimp. So I'm going to set the slaw in the fridge, clean off my cutting board so it's a clean surface for cutting up the plantains. And I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 because I do want my tortillas to be warm for my street tacos. So I did want to give a close-up so y'all can see. The Zatarain's cilantro lime rice hasn't done me wrong yet. Now, if you are a person who's watching your sodium, I'm not gonna lie, any kind of packaged rice dish is gonna have sodium in it. Like, I think this is 500 milligrams, which is a lot, but they do have lower sodium versions, or you can just make it yourself to take out the sodium. Again, like I said, it's pretty simple. White rice, some EVOO, some fresh cilantro, garlic, onion powder, salt and pepper. I just had no white rice, and I had bought this, so that's what I use today. So I'm gonna kind of move this to the side and refocus the angle of my camera, because now we are gonna tend to plantains, which I love. You have to be careful. Move my chopping board over, because the way plantains are encased is that you almost have to cut. You can't just peel it like, even though it looks like a banana, like it's not going down like that. So I like to, and be careful, I like to make an incision on one side on both ends, and then peel it back like this. You don't want to lose a lot of it, so you have to be careful. You almost have to peel it like an apple, which is labor intensive. So it doesn't help if your knives are dull and need to be sharpened like mine either. So I'm gonna work on getting this skin off, and then we'll cut it up into diagonal slices, and I'll show you what I use to cook it in. Pretty simple. Okay. So we got our skin off. One was a lot more rough than the other. That first one was kind of a battle of willpower, but we're still gonna use it. So I like to cut my plantains diagonally. Nice big chunks. So now I'm going to show you what I cook them in, and then we'll get the shrimp going. The oven has been preset, so it's ready. It's at 350. I got the rice kind of sitting to the side, waiting for the finale of all this. And we're going to be done like in a second. Like this last part is not even going to take 10 minutes tops, and then we'll assemble everything. I'll take some pictures. Of course, I'm gonna taste it, and you will use it with your family, and I hope you love it as much as I am sure my tummy is going to. Okay, and a saute pan in the back, I've sprayed it with non-stick cooking spray, and I'm using unsalted butter. You can use plant butters. You can use coconut oil. I'm out of coconut oil, and I didn't realize that until I actually started making the preparation to do this video. I was like, wait, I don't have any of that. So I'm going to use butter, which I usually have all the time, but I prefer making my plantains with coconut oil, so they're still going to be delicious. So what I'm going to do now is get my little baby tortillas ready for the oven. I actually don't want to set these in there until I get ready to get the shrimp done, but look how cute they are. I love how cute they are. So I'm gonna give myself two, because I got a lot of stuff going on the side, right? Okay, our pan in the back is hot. That butter is melted. So now I'm gonna add our sliced plantain to the pan. You know it's ready because you hear the sizzle. I can't believe I've made it through this many videos without bursting into song. Anybody that knows me knows this. My life is a musical. Alright, so that's giddy up and going like we wanted to. You can, if you like your plantains caramelized, almost like a dessert, you can add some honey to them, or sugar, brown sugar or white sugar. I like them just as they are. They're sweet enough to me, but I also am a person that'll just eat a plain baked sweet potato, so I don't like mine super sweet, so I'm not going to add anything to them. I am going to let them sit and cook about 5 minutes on one side, and then flip them over to cook for about 3 more minutes on the other side. So while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and heat up my other saucepan that has just a tablespoon of oil in it for our shrimp. And I'm going to put that on medium heat. Shrimp cook so daggone fast that they will probably be done before our plantains are, but that's okay because I want to sit them to the side and cool just a bit. I don't like biting into super duper hot food, which is what would happen if we don't let the shrimp rest. So while this pan is heating up, I will go ahead and take my 2 little tortillas and go ahead and put them in the oven so that they get warm. My cutting board is here because I don't want to make a mess, and I might do my assembling of my tacos on top of this so I don't get everything everywhere. But I also have my garnish of fresh cilantro kind of waiting to cut to go on top of my taco. So our plantains are getting starting to look real nice on one side. So we're going to let them continue to go. But I'm going to switch over to getting our shrimp, which we had in the jerk marinade, into this hot pan. Remember, this shrimp is not going to take forever and a day to get done. See, already we just put that in there and they're almost done. What we can do before we get ready to flip those over is come on over here to our plantains. Kind of dark when you turn the light. Just flip those over. And I like my stuff kind of crispy, so if you don't like yours as brown as this, then you want to turn them over maybe like after 3 minutes. I like the crust on mine. So now that I've turned them over, I'm gonna cut down. My heat was on 5. I'm gonna cut it down to between 3 and 4 and let it go for about another 3 minutes. That'll be done and I'll cut that off. But now we can go ahead and flip this shrimp over. You got about another 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes on this shrimp. Same thing with your plantains. So they'll be done at the same interval. And right about now we can go ahead and actually take our tortillas out of the oven. They are nice and warm and ready to go. So I've cut the plantains off, cut the shrimp off. We can go ahead and get them out. We don't want rubbery shrimp, period. So I'm just putting them in a bowl. It smells so delicious up in here. And I want my marinade, so I'm gonna do this. Be careful, it's hot. Now let's get ready to do the assembly of all these different components. I'm so excited. So before we assemble, I want to give us a recap of all the work we've put in today. This was the easy part, right? This was the shortcut. The cilantro lime rice has kind of been waiting in the cut. It's still warm. Fried plantains. Our jerk shrimp. Our garnishes. We got our cilantro, our chopped onion, our lime we're going to squeeze over the top. My gluten-free little baby white corn tortillas. By the way, this whole deal is gluten-free. So if you have a gluten intolerance, you're going to get a lot of gluten-free recipes out of my cooking channel, because I have one as well, even though sometimes I bear the pain and will eat regular pizza dough because I'm a pizza freak. But the great thing is there are a lot of gluten-free pizza dough options these days, and cauliflower crust is also my jam. So maybe that'll be a recipe I will include as well. And then last but not least is the yummy cabbage and carrot slaw we're gonna top the taco off with. So let's get to putting this thing together. Okay, first of all, I want these now. I will just make plantains, y'all, and eat them for breakfast with like eggs and sliced tomato and avocado. Like, that's just what might happen. I love them that much. I'm gonna use all my spoons. I'm gonna use all my spoons trying to get all the stuff on my plate. And now I want to add some of this cilantro lime rice. which I've eaten this. I think I told you before. I've eaten this cilantro lime rice by itself with just like some canned black beans on top, and it was delicious. I loved it. Now I want to assemble my tacos. So I'm gonna do 3 shrimp. On each one. So I got leftovers, which I like to try to have leftovers because a lot of times I'm too busy to just be cooking every day. I know it might seem like it because I'm always posting stuff on social media, but I don't have time. So I'm gonna get a little bit of this slaw on top. I feel like this other side didn't get as much. And then I'm gonna put some of this onion I chopped on each one. Don't worry, I'm gonna give y'all a close up. Some more. And I just tear this cilantro that I'm garnishing with. I'm gonna add some more fresh lime juice on top. Kind of move those to the side. And I can't forget our dressing that we made. The avocado lime cilantro dressing. I'm out of spoons, so I'm gonna use my fork to drizzle that. On top. It's ready for its close-up now. So here's the finished product, all assembled and together. Now we gotta have a taste test, right? The taco is gonna be messy, so I'm gonna do that later. I wanna get some of this rice, which I didn't even add anything to this rice. It's just good by itself. That's something they got right in the Zatarin's factory. Plantain, I didn't add anything to this either. I don't like mine super sweet. You can just eat plantains around the clock for like snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, late night snack. I never get tired of it. Alright, I gotta pick up like you eat street tacos with your hands. So let me get one. It's a taco, stuff is gonna fall out. That's all right. You can pick it back up, put it back in, bite it again. This is definitely Caribbean inspired, but I did take some liberties. There isn't a true jerk seasoning or marinade that you're gonna find that doesn't have brown sugar in it or habanero or scotch bonnet peppers. So if you want to get authentic, you definitely are going to need those things. But with what's already like in your spice cabinet or pantry, you can do this. Y'all watch me do it. I hope you give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I hope you love it. And This was first up on our Under the Sea voyage. Next up after this will be stuffed salmon, asparagus, and cauliflower mash. So I'm hype about that. Thanks for being with me in our kitchen with Dr. Kira.